Hello, everyone. So I want to talk about Treadwell being showcased, which likely means they're trying to trade him currently before they ultimately try to cut him. So my question is, should we actually do either of these things? And per over the cap, if he is to be cut, they only gain about 60K in cap, and if traded, $1.2 million, raising it to 6.5 mil. But in either case, you lose about $1.3 million in dead cap. So that's not good. Both of those numbers are lower than the 1.3 mil, and I think in usually a normal situation, I would be all for getting rid of a first round bust kind of player at a cheaper cost, I guess. But we still have no third receiver, and that could be an issue for this because if he were to just show out at all in this last preseason game, you can make the argument that he should just keep the wide receiver 3 job. And that's kind of not good. Like there's only one receiver that you can kind of argue this for, but like after that 47-yard night, he kind of showed more than most of the other receivers have. The only other one that showed any promise close to that was Olabisi Johnson, who currently in the preseason has caught 5 of 6 targets for 87 yards and 1 touchdown. So the only there's only he's one of the only 2 receivers with more yards this preseason than Treadwell's 59 yards, which is obviously BC Johnson with 87. The other one is Adam Thielen. So you have a guy who might be on your practice squad, your star receiver, and a guy they're trying to trade/cut. Doesn't really add up to me because those are your kind of 3 guys, and I would think just of how thin we are at receiver, Olabisi Johnson probably has made this roster without a doubt. So there is that. But maybe we shouldn't cut him though, because he is in that top 3 of performance there. And now every time Treadwell has had a half decent play though, he has lined up in the slot as kind of being used as a small tight end, kind of like a move tight end kind of thing, which means he can also be used as Irv Smith's backup. So if he were to get hurt, you can kind of use Laquon Treadwell in a similar way. And that kind of versatility doesn't hurt, considering he is one of the better blocking receivers we have. Sorry, and he has played decent on special teams for the most part the last 2 years, and he technically has some receiver versatility. So with all of that mixed in, you can kind of make the case he can be kind of this just play everywhere kind of player, which can save you a few roster spots potentially, and that wouldn't be so bad. And if you want to go into the trade route, there's not a lot of teams I don't think would trade for him just because if they're already sold on the fact of trading him, that probably means they're going to cut him during the final cuts if that's something they're just sold on. And I just don't see any team trading for him though, like knowing that. So, but the interested teams I would think probably have a weaker tight end group just because he is used most effectively as a move tight end. Kind of think of the way Trey Burton is used in Chicago, where he doesn't always line up as a true tight end, like an inline tight end, but probably out in the slot and as an H-back kind of thing. Kind of similar how we are probably going to use Irv Smith Jr. So I think that's the kind of way you would be using him. So he's not going to be like a full-time tight end. So if you were to trade him anyway, you'd be lucky to get a 6th, 7th round draft pick probably, just because he is such a niche kind of role guy. But I'm just thinking we should keep him on the roster strictly because of who we have on the roster. Because if you include receivers that aren't named Treadwell, Thielen, Diggs, they are Chad Beebe, Olabisi Johnson, Jeff Badette, Davian Davis, Dylan Mitchell, Alexander Hollins, Brandon Zylstra, and Jordan Taylor. Now, Chad Beebe is the one in there that everyone's going to be like, that's my guy. But yet, he hasn't really done much in the preseason. And yesterday, he was kind of called out for not only running wrong routes, but he was also dropping passes. So it's not a good start. Olabisi Johnson, he's a rookie, and Zimmer with offensive rookies doesn't always mesh too well anyway. So I doubt he's going to see real playing time, but I do imagine he'll make the roster, probably as a wide receiver 4 or 5. And then the rest of them, a lot of them probably aren't going to make it. So the odds are, if they were to get rid of Treadwell, third wide receiver is probably not on this roster whatsoever. And I don't think we can be too picky after Thielen and Diggs anyway. So this is probably going to be more of a situational thing if we were to keep Treadwell. Like maybe some games Chad Beebe is the wide receiver 3 because his skill set matches with their third corner better in our favor. Or maybe it's Treadwell. Maybe he can't. Maybe it's a smaller corner who kind of struggles with some size. Maybe he can be bullied around a little bit. You put Treadwell's big body on him. Maybe you can bully him around a little bit. But it's probably going to be more of a situational thing. But even then, you don't really have that versatility with any of the other guys because Jordan Taylor, I think, is gone. He's the other real big body guy. Brandon Zylstra, I don't think they've really gotten anything out of him either. So that leaves Treadwell. So although I don't like Treadwell necessarily, I do think it's a necessity to keep Laquon just because of how thin we are everywhere else at this position. It's not a good situation to be in to be trying to trade for a player because if they do value him, like, no, we want like a 5th-round draft pick. We want to get our 5th-rounder back that we lost getting Corey Vedvik. Well, teams aren't going to give you that because they already know you're going to cut him. So at best, he's probably a conditional 6th or 7th-round draft pick for a player who, in Treadwell, we don't know can actually be on our roster. We can trade him away, then possibly bring him back after he gets cut. That's a legitimate possibility that can happen. And I just don't think it's necessarily worth it to get the $1.3 million dead cap in money to get rid of a player at a position that we're already thin at. I would like to know your comments down below because I know this can be kind of hot take-ish here, potentially, because I know people really hate him. But I'd like to know them down below. Until next time, I bid y'all adieu.